think your companies get it. I'm ex-McKinsey, board advisor, Hancock institutional investor. I ran all Hancock's real estate, an $11 billion business in the late 80s, early 90s. I was the first that created a REIT and a mortgage-backed security. Everybody know what's happening in the mortgage-backed security industry? Since I was the guy who first created it in 1989. It's bringing down our economy.
Thanks a lot.
I appreciate it. And everybody knows it. Covered Barron's, 1989, 1990. The problem is businesses don't have it right. They just don't have it right. Because a really simple reason, they're run by the wrong people. And those people we just described don't have a clue of what they're doing. Not a clue. They think they're in the business of selling things. I'm going to argue they don't. No. So the first question is, how did you get here? So let me tell you how they got here. I'm going to tell you a simple story about me. Most of you people know the story. I've been telling the story since 1997. This is not new for me. I'm going to stick with the story until I die. Simple story. How did I get here? Well, my past is a storied past. It's probably no different than your leaders. My dad was born to a great country and a great place called West Point. How many of you have heard me tell the story before? Hands up. A few. Great. Simple past. I grew up in this environment in which my dad went to West Point. My mom went to finishing school for women. They taught me two different things. Tell the truth, always tell the truth. I get in a lot of trouble in the blogosphere last week from Vic Milken, talking about women and leadership. It's always getting myself in trouble about these issues. He taught me tell the truth, even if it gets me in trouble. And the second is my mother taught me how to do something called eat a square meal. They taught me a third lesson that I think some of you may know. Children should be seen and not heard at the dinner table. Anybody heard that lesson? Hands up. Absolutely. Your parents are my parents. Now the problem with that lesson is that those people went on to run our country. They went on to run our companies. They went on to run our religions. They went on to run our organizations, and they believed children should be seen and not heard, and they gave no voice to anyone. You don't believe it? Let's watch. Not only did my dad and mom understand that thesis, they understood the idea of making things, selling things, creating things. The year is 1926. My grandfather's here from Hungary. He comes over here for a great new technology called a car, opens up the first dealership of this agency in a really remote location called Manhattan. How many of you drive Chevrolets? That's a problem for General Motors. One person. They make things too. The problem is they make things like AT&T does, and they go bankrupt in the process. How many of you drive Fords? A few more of you. Bill Ford is still alive, as you notice. He's finding his way through. But Rick Wagner was arguing not more than 90 days ago that all of us were stupid, that GM made great cars, we just don't know it as customers. Amazing message. In the 80s, my history, my father-in-law said, you got to make things, you got to sell things, you got to be your definition of things that are hard. I built a $250 million real estate industry company in New England and sold to Hancock. That was what made us. How well is real estate doing for the U.S. economy today? Let me give you the numbers so you all know. A year and a half ago, January of 2008, this economy was worth $50 trillion. $50 trillion. We had $25 trillion of debt. In the first quarter of 2009, a year later, we have $25 trillion of debt still. And here's the problem. We only have $20 trillion of assets. The company and the country is bankrupt. And the U.S. economy, called the U.S. government, can't bail us out. It took 14 years for the Japanese government to do it. 14 years. Barack Obama, even with a $1.7 trillion stimulus package, cannot reinflate our economy from 20 trillion to 50 trillion. We have a big problem. It's not just his problem. We can get out one of three ways. We can inflate assets, we can reduce costs, or we can wipe out banks. Those are the only solutions. So long as we make things, you have companies like AT&T and GM, their storied past and your leaders find a way to take us down. So something happened to me. In 1982, I met a woman. Can you tell? And I'm a guy. Anybody can tell? And she said to me in 1987, why don't guys get it? What was she talking about? 1987. What don't guys get? Women? What guys don't get? Anything. That's exactly what I said. That's correct. Let me tell you the name of the book in 1997 that was rejected. It's called My Wife is Right. What does she write about? Everything. Now you can all laugh about this. You can all laugh, but here's the bottom line. In an industrial age, I am 6'2", I'm 175, my wife is 5'2", she's 105, I'm bigger, I'm stronger. In an information age, we are the same. We are equally powerful. In a relational age, in a community age, who rules? You bet she does. She rules, Drew Faust rules, who's the chairman and CEO of Harvard, Ann rules, who's the CEO of Penn, Meg Whitman rules. In an age in which it's relational, I don't rule. Here's a thesis for you. There never was a glass ceiling. It just wasn't women's time yet. Here's a new revelation for you. My wife left Harvard as a faculty and dean of students at Harvard Medical and Dental School because the benefactors didn't get the fact that 52% of the class was Asian and 70% of the class was women. And they were white guys who were the benefactors. In an age in which relationships rule, she disrupted my family's storied past. Now here's what happened next. They came along. Those are my sons, Michael and Adam. And they said to me in the 90s, I'm a real estate guy by background. In the 90s, I'm trying to write a book called My Wife's Right. HarperCollins and Simon Schuster says there's never going to be a time in which men are going to read books about women being right about anything. This is 2009. I started this business in 1993. It's not about community, it's about changes in the way we think about our lives. They came along in the 1990s, this is last year, and they said to me in the 1990s, 2001 time frame, Dad, what's with your generation? I said, you ever hear of ERA? E-R-A? They said, what the hell is that? Equal Rights Amendment. Anybody remember, did it pass or not?
No.
It did not pass. They go, what the hell are you talking about, Dad? What do you mean no equal rights amendment?